Coming off of the talk of our top 5 90s bands and influential 90s bands from the episode last week, Matt and I put together a very, very fun segment where we are going to compare NBA players to 90s bands. I have 6 of them, Matt, and I cannot wait to do this. I've been like biting at the chomping at the bit. What is it called? Chomping at the bit to do this.
All right. Well, you chomp first then. Go ahead.
My first one, I think, is the best one. LeBron is Aerosmith.
Why?
He's the old head in the league who's been great for so long, and he's not really of this era, but he is still cranking out hits or all NBA caliber seasons.
I like that. I would view LeBron more like in sync, like they wish they were the Backstreet Boys, like LeBron wishes he was Michael Jordan. I think they're always going to be number 2 in people's hearts and minds, like LeBron is number 2. So that would be my comparison, but I do like yours because anytime Aerosmith gets their due credit, I respect it.
I do want to tell you, and I saved this for the pod specifically, I listened to Get a Grip a couple times yesterday. That record is really good.
It's really good.
It hits
it's
so
a killer.
hard.
It's a killer.
You go from Shut Up and Dance down to the end of that album. It's like 7 straight bangers.
Yeah.
There's one or two skips in the top half, but like the rest of that is incredible.
Yeah, but like in a row, it's like amazing, crying, living on the edge, like just songs that were like, I mean, I don't know about the rest of the world, but in my life, those were like that. It blew my mind when I heard those songs for the first time. Like the visuals and the lyrics and Joe Perry's guitar, awesome stuff.
It was incredible. All right, you go with your first one.
So I think I'm going to start off with a softball, we'll call it. Mm-hmm. Dennis Rodman has only one comparison, and that's Marilyn Manson.
Love that. I love that comparison.
They were both counterculture. They were both the biggest and most famous right in the mid-'90s at the exact same time. Fingernails painted.
Dangerous. They were both danger.
Both dangerous. But I think what we've learned over the years is mental illness sucks.
Yeah, it's not great.
For both of them.
I'm going to go for my second. Oh, also, Dennis Rodman didn't remove a rib.
I don't think he did either. I don't think that's a real thing.
There was my world, baby.
There was always the Marilyn Manson jokes, like in the same vein as you'd hear the Chuck Norris things, like Chuck Norris power jokes. You'd hear the Marilyn Manson things for weird sexual crap, like he removed a rib or he did something to his bandmates on the stage that didn't happen. You know, stuff like that. His persona was way bigger than his music. The music was it was fine. He made a nice remake of an Annie Lennox song. That was about it.
Yeah, Sweet Dreams was good. Other than that, I could care less.
Yeah, zero cares.
My second one is Nikola Jokic is Oasis. Hear me out. They're both obviously great, but not really sure they want to be on stage / on the NBA court.
I like that thought process.
And they both know how good they are, that like doing what they're doing is almost boring to them.
So are you saying the Nuggets championship season was essentially their What's the Story Morning Glory?
Yes. Yeah, exactly right.
I like it too because I got to be honest, I don't think there should be much after it, just like Oasis.
Right. What's your second one?
My second one is Clyde Drexler reminds me of Fish.
Okay. Now, I didn't understand this one when you sent it to me, so please explain.
Very calm, very cool, not very famous, but also loved by the people that want to love him. People of Portland view him as a god, just like Fish fans view them as the greatest band in the world. Yep. And mostly it's just about the persona, about how like calm and relaxed. It reminds me of like people at a Fish concert. Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't have gone to Drexler is Fish as my first comp, but this is your list, and I appreciate what you do.
What would you go with? What would you say for Drexler then?
I think Drexler would be something like the Gin Blossoms.
Gin Blossoms. So you're saying, is it a jealousy thing or is it just a Gin Blossoms thing?
No, it's a Gin Blossoms. Like even keel, easygoing, a couple of hits, but never like the top tier guy.
Never
like,
reached that top level. Like
Yeah.
like even with and that was my thought too with the Fish comparison. They weren't quite the Grateful Dead, but they're right there. They're right there. They were right there. Yeah, that
I
was my
just
thought.
equate Fish with a lot of drugs. That's and Clyde I do not.
Yeah, but mostly good drugs. The good drugs.
We established the good drugs last week.
Yes.
You go for your third.
Okay, this is the best one. We've got Blues Traveler as the band with Orlando Miller. And that's strictly due to the size of the lead singer of Blues Traveler and the size of Orlando Miller, who was the number one most out of shape NBA player in the history of the sport.
Of all times.
Other than maybe 37-year-old Sean Kemp.
Oh yeah, but that was tough.
That was tough to watch.
John Popper is the lead singer of Blues Traveler.
Yeah, well, he's the one with the vest that had the 17 different harmonicas in them.
Suck it in, rin tin tin, and a wink wink wink.
Because you need 17 different harmonicas for a reason, and he has that reason. He hasn't really told anyone that reason, but he had that jacket. He had the harmonica jacket made to be Mr. Harmonica, and that is who he is.
My third is Luka Doncic. Is Soundgarden.
Ooh.
Because they are the most talented person in the league, as Soundgarden was arguably the most talented band of the 90s, and they're consistently great, but they haven't quite broken through as the best band or the best player in the league yet. Luka has never been considered the best player in the world, and Soundgarden I don't think was ever really the best band in the world, but they were always, like, in my opinion, on the precipice of being that best band.
So I think I like Soundgarden and I love Chris Cornell. You have a view of Soundgarden that I just wasn't aware of. I think that you view them that highly musically and all that. I just viewed them as like a second tier grunge band. I'm not saying I was right or wrong. That was just always my impression of them. That they were not Nirvana or Pearl Jam. They were Soundgarden, and they were closer with Alice in Chains and those people in terms of basically everything.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I love them, and I think musically they were just as much just the best.
I just don't know their other. I guess I don't know a lot of their catalog other than their mainstream songs.
Yeah,
which I do like. So I'm not going to say anything bad. But on my Apple Music, I have a ton of Chris Cornell solo stuff because his solo stuff is literally beautiful.
What is your next one?
My next one is Shaq. Shaq is Metallica.
Yeah, I like this comparison a lot.
Because no one can fuck with Metallica. You can't say anything bad about Metallica. They're bigger than everyone. They're better than everyone. They're better than everybody. They are dominant. They are in your face. They are Shaq.
I really like that comparison. I think it goes well. Now, I can fuck with Metallica for Reload.
I love Metallica, man.
I can fuck with Shaq for his run with the Cavs. So
the thing about Metallica that's great is if you look at all their albums or the majority of them, you're going to have the hardcore metal songs for the hardcore metal fans. You're also going to have the slower songs for the people that want to hear, a little bit of instrumental. They literally offer something to everybody, and that even goes as far as their songs in general. Like my favorite Metallica song is One, and One is essentially a ballad for the first 4 to 5 minutes, and it picks up into one of the most hardcore metal songs you'll ever hear at the end.
One is in. I love that. That's one of my favorite Metallica songs, easily.
Yeah, One's great, but it's just very cool how diverse they are, how talented they are, just dominant, and they've just been dominant for almost 45 years now. They've been going since the early 80s, brah.
I have 3 more that I want to get through really quickly. SGA is Radiohead because they're obviously great and nothing like we've seen before, and they win in different ways. We got a clunky game from SGA where he's doing his Eurostep and floaters. He's hitting threes. He's distributing. Radiohead crushes with the grunge. Then they crush with electronic style music, and they just keep redefining what they do best. And I think SGA is an example of that in the NBA.
I view Radiohead more like Lou Williams, kind of like a one-trick pony.
Yeah, well, one trick pony is not how you would describe Radiohead.
Well, their only trick is being open to hipsters.
My next one, just ignoring that. My next one is Derrick Rose is the band live. They come on with a blaze, and right away they have a killer album, which is Throwing Copper. And they're the biggest band of the year in like 1996, but they could not come up with a second album. Derrick Rose had an immediate first like 3 years that was almost unprecedented in the NBA. Just came on like a phoenix, and then obviously due to injury couldn't sustain that level of explosiveness and greatness.
I think that's a really good call. Derrick Rose, as a young NBA player, was about as dynamic as you got. Really, his game was very similar to Russell Westbrook, if we're going to be honest. Probably just a year or two before, and then and Russell built on it. That knee injury took away his entire career. He was not a shooter. So if he didn't have that perfect explosion, we saw what happened. He became a functional NBA player, a functional bench player for years, but he was a shell of himself.
My last comp, NBA players to 90s bands. Karl Anthony Towns is ace of base. Hear me out.
Okay, why is that?
He consistently has hits, 20-point seasons, but you can't really take him seriously, okay? They're an homage to a previous era. Ace of base, ABBA. Cat, Dirk. But they're not quite as good as the original and have not obtained the same accolades.
I think you're underestimating the global appeal of Ace of Base a little bit.
Oh, I thought you were going with Karl Anthony Towns. I'm underestimating Ace of Base.
You're underestimating. No, it's an insult to Ace of Base to compare them to Karl Anthony Towns. I'm not going to tell you that they're the greatest musicians or anything like that, but I'm sorry. The Sign is one of the best songs ever. It took over the entire world. And Karl Anthony's never had a peak in his career that even touches The Sign.
Well, he's the self-appointed best big man shooter of all times.
He might be the best big man 3-point shooter of all time. That may be, but he also plays like an idiot.
This is why because you can't take Ace of Base seriously, and you can't take Karl Anthony Towns seriously.
But you say you can't take Ace of Base seriously, but I'm pretty sure they're one of the most successful acts of the 90s.
I mean, they had Don't Turn Around and The Sign. What else did they have?
But I think in Europe they're beyond big.
Well, do you know how big Karl Anthony Towns is in Europe? He's huge, Matt. Well,
huge.
Jersey sales out the yin yang.
But he's really he's big. Europe loves Towns.
Europe loves Karl.